Hi guys, so this is the last part of the productivity session, and as we have been talking, we were actually going through a case study about Mzansi Car Service, Service Car, and then we were talking about this company whereby there's this manager that is between bracket one to make a productivity report to assess the way the company has been doing on a regular basis. So what happens is we have been given different information how the company performed in 2008 versus how they performed in 2009. So what we were requested to do in the very first part was to look at the factor or the single factor productivity, which means that we looked at all the different input and how they affect individually. And then we also looked at the multi-factor. This video actually is going to allow us to look at the multi-factor. So the single factor, what we did is we looked at the productivity. Everything that is gray here shows us how we did the single factor productivity for 2008. The key things that I would really like to repeat are mostly the formula that you need to know, the ratio, how to calculate it, and above everything, the unit, because the unit that what differentiate, for example, the solvent productivity as well as the labor productivity, for example. Then we did the same thing as well when we were looking at the single factor productivity for 2009. And in this case, we had mentioned that the principle is still the same. And I think even without calculating, we could see already that there was something wrong. For example, in terms of the solvent per liter, how can you use 700 yet you produce only 7.5, you service only 7.5 cars, while with this one here you use 900, we have actually increased by 200, yet the productivity has decreased by 1.5 in terms of the number of units. So all of these are red flags that the company is able to use. But just like we said, when you give these productivity values to people or to people in the industry, to managers, they tend not to understand this. The best thing that everyone understands, it graphs, it is numbers, which makes it easier. When you tell someone that compared to 2008 to 2009, we have been able to service 10.71 cars per liter of solvent compared to 6.67 cars per liter, the person will be a little bit lost. But when you decide to include some other, you include a percentage, it really affects. If I tell you today that our productivity in terms of solvent has decreased by 37.72%, it makes things easier. So we know at least that there's been a decrease. Yes, obviously that decrease will be will be worse if it was maybe 50%, even though it's 37, but at least people know where they stand. So this is why the productivity increase is very important. Now in this section here, what we are going to do, we are going to do the multi-factor productivity. You know, when we look at this part here, they are talking about a productivity for all the factors, which is what we have done, as well as a multi-factor analysis. So for the multi-factor analysis, we will use a 4 decimal places value here. Now for the multi-factor, the situation is a little bit different. Let me try to take you through it just to have an idea. So this one was a single factor, and this one here, I'm gonna call it a multi-factor productivity. Now in this case here, let me go back first to the statement. As we go back to the statement, I will add some few information on this table here. So there's the second part of the how do you call this, of the problem, and this is quite important to help us as we are working with the singles at the multi-factor. So they said one thing in the slide that we were using. They say that what makes the single factor and the multi-factor productivity different is just that with the single factor, we are not involving any cost. We are just looking at the number of units produced versus the resource that has been used. But this is quite different with the multi-factor. In the multi-factor, we are looking mostly at an organization input, the collective one. That is the formula. The formula is, I think I have the slide with me here. The slide that we used, this is the one for the multi-factor. So it's a productivity that is equal to the output divided by the sum of all the input here. But for us to sum up all these values, we need first of all to find one value in terms of amount. Now let's go back to this. Now, in this statement here, we still don't know. We need to find out. Yes, they are telling us the liters, they are telling us the number of hours, but how much is it in terms of rain? So they said, for example, here that Lontantla knew that a labor cost per hour, and increased from 13 to 14 in 2009. So what we do is that we're looking at the labor cost here. So the labor cost, what happens is we will say that the labor cost here was 42,000 hours, but it has increased from 14 to 13. So if we need to look in terms of cost, how am I going to put this? Let me try to put it like this. I'm going to add another column here, and I'll do this. So the labor cost here, it used to be in 2008. In 2008, the labor cost was charged at 14 rand. By 14 rand, what they just mean, they mean that per hour, if we pay someone, we will pay them 14 rand per hour. This was in 2008. So let me go back here. I'm still gonna give them this color just for us to know what is happening, and then everything that is ladies are the one that knows the colors, but in this one, I still don't know what this color is. They call it gold. Okay, we call it gold. So we have this color here. Now, so the labor in 2018 used to be charged at 13 rand per hour. Right now it is changed and not 13 rand anymore, but now it is 14 rand per hour. Then this was primarily due to a move by the management to become more competitive with the new company and all those things. Now, she also knew that the cost per liter of the solvent had increased from 280 to 360. So as I go back here, I'm like, this one here, we are looking at the cost, which is 330 rand. 330 rand. Oh, where am I even? It's not even there. So it's at 330 rand. This is actually 330 rand per liter. And then this other one here, it has increased and it now 336 per liter in 2009. Then we say that equipment renting cost has remained the same for both here, which is 33 rand. So we look at the equipment here, both in 2008 and in 2009, it is still the same price in this case, which we are looking at 33 rand. Now, she had concerns about the accounting procedures in terms of the capital, but when you look at the capital, you realize that it is already in rand, so we do not need to convert. Now, the most important thing here, now I get this is the data that I'm going to use for my multi-factor. So this is the table. Now, what is going to happen here? Let me try to auto fit to content. Yes. Okay. So what is going to happen here is just that I need to find all those values, but yet I need to find them in a monetary value to make my life quite easier. And then I can do the capital output. I mean, the multi-factor productivity. What happens? So in the first case here, they say that we have used 700 liters of the solvent. How much is it in rand? In rand, what we need to do is like we need to take the 700 that I'm going to multiply by the 330 to find out how much we have spent in terms of the productivity. I mean, in terms of amount, which is 22. Well, the value is going to be in rand, which is 224. And then we have 3 zeros. This is between bracket how much money we have spent for using 700 liters of the solvent, because it's 330 a liter. Now, as we go back here, we will have the second one in terms of equipment. So we are paying approximately 33 rand per hour, while the company has used the equipment for 21,000 hours. So we take the 21,000 hours that we are going to multiply by 33 rand, which will give us a value of 693. Then we have 300 here. Then we do the same thing here for the labor hours. The labor hours, we are paying for an hour at 13 rand. And in this case, we are looking at 42,000 times 13, which will give us 546. And then we have a 300 here, the value is still in rand. So as you have noticed, everything here is in rand. Every input has been transformed into rand, which makes it a little bit easier for us. Then we will still do the same thing for the remaining part. The remaining part here, which was 2019. 2019, we used 900 liters. The price even increased to 360 rand per liter. So I have my 900 times 360, which gives me 324 and then 340. The value is still in rand here. So I really want to emphasize on the unit. It's quite important. So for the equipment hours, we have 25,000 hours that were used to run the facility, and then we paid it 33 rand per hour, which gave us a value of times 33, which gave us a value of 825,000 rand. This is what the company had paid. Then as we go down here in terms of the labor hours, for the labor hour, the company has been paying 14 rand, which is actually a major increase from compared to 2018, which was actually 35,000 times 14 per hour, which gives us a value of 490, if I'm not mistaken, 490,000. So you take the 35,000. These are the number of hours that were spent. You multiply by how much we pay per hour, then you get that value. So with this said, now we have all these values. The best thing to do now, what I'm going to do is let me mix this. So I'm going to mix this and then I will mix this. So the very first thing to do now is to take the total, the total input. So I'm not going to write it down because it'll be too long, but the total output, the total input here, you take this value, everything that is in rand, you add it to get a value in rand, which is going to be the first one for the solvent liter, which is 224,000 plus 693,000 plus 546,000 plus 375,000. So whatever you get there, which is almost 1,838,000. So this is how much money in terms of input the company has spent that year. So we still do the same thing for 2019. So the total input will be the total of everything in rand here, all the input, which is going to be the 324,000 plus 825,000 plus 490,000, which plus the productivity, the capital invested, which is 620,000. In this case here, this value is actually, they've actually produced even more. They've actually spent even more. They've spent almost 2,259,000, and then you have zero here. So it's 2,259,000 rand. This is what the company has paid. Now we can compare. Now we have the total input, then we have the total input for 2009. Now the formula, we come back to the very first formula that we have been using here. See the one in terms of the productivity. So the multi-factor productivity here will be the input over the output, and in this case, the input is whatever the output is, or whatever the company has been produced 7,000 cars, yet they have spent for almost 1,838,000. Then the same thing that will be done here. The company produced approximately 6,000 units, and they've spent almost 2,259,000 rand. This is what the company has spent. I'm really sorry as I'm calculating this. It might affect my, hopefully I didn't make mistakes so far, but should I have made a mistake, please feel free in the comment section to leave some insight over what you think over the answer. So we are looking at 7,500 that we divide by 1,838,000. Then in this case here, we are looking at an answer of 0,123. Then after we have 4. Actually, I'm just gonna put 41 like this. Yes. So remember that this is an output. So the output, we will just say this is the value 0,00041 cars, because these are the cars that have been serviced. Then we will put it per rand to say that for every rand spent in the investment of the company or whatever process they were doing, they were only able to produce 0,00041 cars. So we do the same thing here. We have 6,000 that we divide by 2,259,000. And what we get here it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, then we have 2, 7 like this. Then in this case here, we are still looking at cars per the rent invested. Now, in case we would like to look as well as the productivity improvement, sorry for that. So I'm just going to mix this merge cells. So the productivity improvement in this case, because it doesn't belong to any year, I'm just going to give it a random color. Let's just take green like this. So the productivity improvement, we will go back now to improvement here. So we will improvement, yes. So we'll go back here to the formula that we have been using here. The formula will still be the same, which is the new productivity minus the old productivity. We divide by the new productivity, and yes. So in this case, let me put it in white so that it can be quite visible. So in this case, what will happen is, what happened with the productivity is we are looking at the new productivity. Let me just make it like this. Yes. So we are looking at the new productivity, which is the one for 2009 in this case, because it is the most recent. And in 2009, we got 0,000, then we got a 25, 27 here. With the old productivity, the old productivity is 0,000, actually 3 zeros, then we got a 41. Yes, 3 zeros. Then with the old productivity, which is 0,123,41, and then we'll multiply by 100, and we'll be able to find out what is happening. So we have like that's 0,00027 minus 0,12341, that we divide by 0,12341. Then we multiply by 100. So the value that we get is a negative 34,115%. So between bracket, this means that the general perspective, the general performance of a company, if I need to give a report, I would just say that in terms of productivity, the company has actually decreased its productivity, the total productivity, if we need to look at all the factors. Because before, in 2008, we were able to produce 0,00041 cars per rent, while here we are looking at 0,0027 cars per rent. So there's actually a major decrease, and in terms of percentage, one will say the percentage is 35,15. That's what they decreased, that the productivity decreased by 34,15%. And this is quite large. We're talking about million, we're talking about money that has been invested here. And you as an operation manager, your point now is going to be like, but now that we know this, how can we improve? What has been the major issues? I think this will be issues for another story, another day, because I think there's a chapter where we talk about quality and quality improvement, and we talk about the different problem solving tools to find out that if there's a problem about productivity, what are the tools? Because we need to find, first of all, what has been the cause of the lack of production, then we can fix that, and we can have actually a long aspect on the production that we look into. So guys, thank you very much. This was the end of our walkthrough for the problem of productivity planning and increase. Feel free to join the channel again and leave comment what you think about this content and everything that we have covered. Was it quite important to you? Have a nice day. Subscribe to the channel and share the content as well.